I'm also so used to this rev hang now. What was that? Ooh, check engine light. Ooh, we're not running on all cylinders. Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today we're gonna do a night drive in my brand new 2022 Honda Civic Si. Take you for a little walk around in the car now that we've got all the lights on. I think it's worth seeing these types of cars at night just so you can see just how great the lights are on a basic $27,000 car these days. All right, you're gonna be paying more at the dealer probably. If you can get this for MSRP, you're probably in somewhere around $28,000 to $30,000 if you're doing all right. But man, this, of all the cars on my channel, it seems to be like a rare thing. I never see these. I feel like I've got the hot toy, even though it's just a Civic, which is very bizarre. I mean, probably because they're not building them fast enough and because they're getting marked up. But we'll get a lot of ambiance in this one today. Got the dual exhaust revved up somewhere around 1500 RPM during the cold start. That'll come down in a second. There it is. And now that I've got about 3,500 miles on this car, I'm starting to notice a lot more crackles and pops going on the overrun. I've been getting anywhere from 37 to 40 miles per gallon in this car. It's amazing that in my little stick shift, it's still just exactly what I need. Nice, fairly bright, good in low light reverse camera, doing the job. We'll see how it is when we get out into the dark part of the driveway. Still helping us out. Not ideal, but you know, better than nothing, I suppose. But I'll tell you what, these headlights are just phenomenal. Check these out. Look at that. Those high beams really do the trick. Now, it's taken me a little bit of getting used to daily driving a manual again. And it's not that I wasn't good at driving a manual. I drive a manual most days of the week when I'm reviewing cars, but daily driving a manual, I had to like pick up my good habits again. Part of it too is making sure that you're treating that transmission nicely when it's cold. These gearboxes, I mean, pretty much every manual gearbox is going to react a little differently before it's fully warmed up. But getting the revs up in this Civic just a little bit really helps smooth out that first 1-2 shift. That does the job. If you're trying to baby it too much, it could be a little crunchy, not in an aggressive grinding way, but just in a way that it doesn't fall into gear in the perfect smooth fashion. And that's the thing, adapting to these cars, adapting to any car, takes a little bit of trial and error. There are some gearboxes, especially with old age, that don't want to hit that gear smoothly unless you're basically at red line. But, you know, if you treat things well and you listen to them, I mean, the gearbox is literally telling you what it wants to do. So don't force things. You know, I've seen a lot of people in the Civic Si groups asking about that. And that goes for anything. If you're driving a WRX or something too. I mean, just figure out what the car likes. Oddly enough though, I found myself leaving the auto rev match on. And I wasn't totally sure why this was more comfortable for me. And then I kind of think I figured it out. It's because this isn't the most playful motor. It's not a tap-tap kind of revvy engine. And I love being able to rev match a naturally aspirated V8 or a flat 6 or something like that when it's really responsive and sharp. But this isn't exactly sharp in that way, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't owe me that. It's a Honda Civic. But I have found that having the auto rev match on, you can call me lazy, you can call me a slob, you could say a real enthusiast would rev match his own downshifts. But I gotta say, sometimes I'm just like, this is nice because I know I'm gonna have, big bump. Good thing I bought the wheel and tire package for this thing. The insurance will cover that in a heartbeat. God, it's great to have a daily driver you kind of don't care about. I do love it though. But I do find myself, back to the auto rev match, I find myself really enjoying that because I feel like it'll improve the clutch life if I were to keep this for a really long time, because I'm not like accidentally misrevving it. I mean, I'm sure I'd figure it out, and that's fine. I've done it. It's okay. But I also feel like because it's my daily driver, I'm entitled to be a little lazy with the downshifts. I don't always want to work that hard, especially if I'm just driving home from work after I've done a shoot. Sounds silly, I hear you, but away she goes. Ooh, be nice for the coppers. Carrying a little speed. I almost never drive in sport mode. I think sport mode in this car is kind of silly. I don't know the point of it. It maybe sharpens or like makes the steering heavier and potentially changes the throttle mapping, but then it just gives me the dumb noise through the speakers, and I don't want it and I don't like it. Yeah, I pretty much never hit the drive mode button. Not a thing. Don't care. Does not matter to me. It's not a fast car. It's never going to be a fast car. Even if it added a little extra boost, which I don't think it does, it wouldn't be enough to really matter. But it's still quick enough to get out of its own way. I mean, you still have to plan some things out a little bit on the highway, especially for me coming from like a 400 horsepower BMW M3. I could close gaps so quickly in that car, and even that wasn't like a fast car, it was quick. This car, I do have to think a little bit more at least than I typically did in the past. I know we shouldn't be passing on the right, but I'm impatient, okay? I'm a little impatient. We're going to call them left lane hogs, and we're going to chalk it up to that. One thing I noticed is that I'm getting a little more exhaust pops in this thing now that it's broken in a bit. That's kind of interesting. They're not like outrageous. It's not like a Fiat 500, a Barth, or anything like that. But definitely noticing more noises. I'm also so used to this rev hang now. What was that? Ooh, check engine light. We just went into limp mode. Uh-oh. We have Honda problems, guys, and we're catching them on tape. Interesting. Ooh, we're not running on all cylinders. That is bad. That's bad. But we have a warranty. Oh, shoot. Emissions system problem. Maybe that's why we're getting the pops on the on this thing. All right, let's pull off and find out what's going on. I don't have an OBD2 reader on me right now, but we may have to limp her home. That's not good. First problems with the Honda. Let's see. Where are we at here? All right, so in order to figure this out, first let's stop the car. We'll do this. Great. We'll pretend that we've left the car. We're back in. Here we go. Things seem okay. Are you going to flash at me again? Emission system. Interesting. Well, let's go. No message received. Okay. So, let's keep driving. We'll find out if we've broken the car. Stupid fucking car. I've bought a Honda in order to avoid the BMW problems, and yet on a small, reasonable, guys, warmed up acceleration, I'm getting thrown in a limp mode. Not my kind of party, I'll tell you that much. I was coming out here to talk about rev hang and if that was going to be an issue, but Was not expecting to get power pulled from my monster 200 horsepower Honda. Alright, well, she's revving out. Definitely sounded like it was running on 3 cylinders for a second. I think we can go back to the tape and listen to that, no problem. But this is why I'm buying cars with a warranty now, because I ain't paying for this. Well, we'll get an OBD2 scanner on that shortly, but we'll continue as we're going right now, because downshift through a couple gears, wide open throttle. Seems to be behaving normally. Okie doke. Chalk it up to, I don't know, it's not cold. It's not like it's going to overboost and do something, or maybe a spark plug fouled, or maybe a wet wire. Who knows? There was some condition it was unhappy with. So, out here on the highway, typical road noise in our Civic Si. The Civic is such a loud car, and I spent so much time on the highway in this car that I'm used to it now. It's fine. And frankly, my M3 wasn't really much quieter. You'd think it would be, but it wasn't. Definitely a more substantial car, that M3. But when we really talk about how loud that was on the interior, it was not a quiet car. So that's not a huge change for me. I do love driving this thing at night, and they gave us a dimmer switch right here on the left, which is great. I don't have to go fiddle through the menus. So, I mean, I don't know how this looks on camera for you. That's way too bright. That's like super duper bright. This is pretty good. That's a pretty nice place for my eyes, and that's great, because when you've got a dashboard and a big tablet, a touch screen, it can be really distracting when it's too bright and you're driving, and it's hard on your eyes, especially if you're going to be driving at night for hours and hours on end. You want to be able to knock that down, and you don't want to have to be distracted going through countless menus just to do it. Check out these high beams. Fantastic. Listen to the peepers. Hear that? Those are little frogs. They're all just trying to get laid right now. They're horny little frogs. Let's turn around. We'll try to do a little acceleration. See if we can't recreate the problem. And hopefully we don't have problems. Granted, I guess I'm going to Miami this week, so if I don't have the car, it's not the end of the world. Well, she runs. I don't know why you just put your car like halfway out of a parking lot when you're pulling out, but sure, good for you. I think the gearing is spaced out really nicely on this as well. I mean, they're fairly short gears, which is exactly what I like about kind of a 6-speed. You want that close ratio. But especially for a car with very little power, you definitely, and I know some of the Europeans are like, oh, very little power, I wish I had 200 horsepower. But for a car like this, it's good, because then you can really keep it within its operating range, its power band, without much concern. If this had the gear ratios of a Porsche 718 Spider pre-demand regearing, it would probably not move very well. It would be a total dog. I can't imagine if this thing did 82 miles an hour in second gear. I'd have to redline first every single time. The suspension is a little stiff. It's a little stiff. But honestly, it's not that bad considering after driving the 2022 Subaru WRX, that is stiff. That is like an over-damped pogo stick. It's ridiculous. It's actually quite stiff to the point where I'm like, that's maybe a little unbearable for me. This is stiff in the way that if you're coming from something like a little bit more forgiving, you're not going to be thrilled. Coming from an M3, not a huge deal to me, and I appreciate it because it's just sporty enough. It allows me to chuck it into corners without egregious body roll. but I don't find it offensive. If you're looking for pure comfort, like, this is not going to do it for you, but I don't know what else is going to do it for you at this price range. Most things at, like, you know, $25,000 to $30,000 are not going to be luxurious. You know that feeling when a car does you wrong and it's hard to trust it again? That's where I'm at. I have not had that experience in this car yet until right now, today, in this video. That has not gone wrong for me before. I've never seen a check engine light flash at me. I've never felt it running rough or putting me into limp mode. So I am definitely curious what to attribute that to. But the old Italian tune-up usually does the trick. Just drive the heck out of it. See what happens. So, wow, look at the light bar in this Corolla. Just asking to get pulled over. Full send VVTI. What a guy. I think maybe we'll call it in the CVS parking lot. Or, you know what, Papagino's. We'll be a little more like New England chic. Does everybody have Papagino's? That's kind of a local-ish thing. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll go troubleshoot this soon and find out what's going on with my Honda Civic Si. And hopefully it's nothing too bad, but if it is, she's under warranty and I'll get a loaner. So that's the life I lead now. So luxurious. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. So unfortunately, no codes were stored in the car. The blinking light is indicating that there's a misfire. I've had this happen in other cars. My 350Z, for example, did that when a coil pack died. So I'm going to posit that it was low on fuel and maybe just had a little bit of bad gas at the same time. And I haven't seen the situation recur. So we'll keep an eye on it and monitor it. We weren't running on empty. We were pretty low. However, we have seen the Honda Civic Type R behave somewhat similarly once there is low fuel on a racetrack. So I guess I'll just keep more fuel in the car when I'm getting heavy on the accelerator.